I'm Fred Holt. I'm part of our support team here. There's a good chance if you have submitted a ticket, you've worked with me. So for those of you who know me, it's good to see you again. And for those who I haven't met, I'm always happy to answer questions. Always don't hesitate to reach out to support@managedmethods.com. Steve and myself are always more than happy to answer any questions or work through any issues you guys are having. What I'm going to be going over is what compromised accounts look like inside Managed Methods, kind of how to identify them through Login Analyzer in your map, and help you just understand what this process looks like as an admin, as well as what this looks like for your users. So when I was coming up with my idea for this webinar, I was kind of thinking about the best way to generate data for this webinar in a test sense. So I went through the process of what a bad actor would do to compromise an account, and wrote some Python scripts to achieve this, and really kind of dial in on what the process looks like from their end to get a better understanding from my end as well. And so compromising accounts is really pretty formulaic at this point. There's just kind of 4 steps. Step 1 is to get the user's credentials that they're looking for. That can be done through a phishing attack inside of your environment. So an email, sometimes they can be really nasty with like a phone call, whatever it is. They gain access to the user's credentials through these phishing attacks. Second is through leaked credentials. That's going to be something like AT&T recently had a big data breach where they announced that they had lost a bunch of user data. That can include things like usernames and passwords, and oftentimes passwords are reused across different platforms. Leaked credentials and phishing attacks are hands down the most common way that an account gets compromised. And lastly, there's these brute forces or other kind of true hacking methods where they're breaking into an account. These are all pretty uncommon compared to the vast majority of these phishing attacks and leaked credentials, because these are just much easier for people to obtain than it is to really break into an account. So once they have these credentials, they're going to want to get into the account anonymously and programmatically. 1, because it's easier for them, and 2, because they don't want to get caught. So the first thing that they're going to do is put themselves on a rolling VPN. And all that means is they've got a VPN installed on their computer, and it's going to constantly log into new locations around the world and new IP addresses. So when the good guys are going after them, they're just constantly playing around trying to figure out which IP they were actually on, where they were coming from. In Google, kind of the first step of programmatically logging in is you've got to get around CAPTCHA. What I found is that it's really not very hard anymore to get through CAPTCHA programmatically. It's very affordable and very available with just a quick Google search on how to do it. Lastly, Google often asks you to provide a US phone number or a phone number from the country that you're in. This, again, was very affordable and easy to get around from a bad actor's position. And then lastly, I just put this in here. 2FA is going to be extremely important in your environment. So if you guys don't already have 2FA in place, I would really suggest it, or at least add it to your to-do list in the near future. Having 2FA, especially to users in your environment's phones or separate email addresses, really impedes this process. But if you don't have 2FA enabled, kind of steps 1 and 2 are already out of the way, and you're able to move along with your attack. So once you're in, you've gotten through CAPTCHA, you've gotten through generating a phone number and getting through Google's verification process, you're in the position where you can start exploiting the account. This is again done programmatically, where they just start sending phishing emails as the user. They'll also go through the user's files looking for sensitive information like social security numbers, credit card numbers, really any dirt inside of your environment that they could find beneficial, they're going to be looking for. And then the last way that we commonly see these accounts exploited is by sharing files as the compromised user to other users in your environment. So they'll create a file, put a phishing link in it, and share it to everyone in your environment saying, hey, let's update your payroll or whatever it might be. Since it's coming from someone inside your environment, people are going to trust it and they're going to click it, and then the account's going to spread. And that brings us to step 4, which is essentially you just keep repeating this process on compromised accounts. So as more people click the links, as more people are willing to give up their credentials, they're going to just repeat this process over and over as it spreads. Especially in education, we'll see these attacks move quickly from district to district. Since a lot of districts are in communication with each other, the attacks tend to propagate quickly through districts in that way. So at ManagedMethods, we have a number of different ways where we can identify these types of attacks. And I'd like to show you what they look like after I generated this attack on our test environment here. So as an admin, when you first log into ManagedMethods, what you have is this fancy login map at the bottom. And what I'll normally do when I log in is I'll just zoom out and see if there's any logins outside of my country. We're in the US here in Colorado, and I'm seeing some logins happening kind of all over the world here. So these ones outside of the United States are raising a red flag for me kind of immediately. First thing I'll do on this map is I'm going to look for login successes and suspicious login successes and see which of these actually got into the account. So I'm still seeing some logins here outside of the US that are concerning to me. One's going to be in Morocco and one's going to be in Guatemala there. If I click on the pin, it'll show me the user that logged in from that location. So I can see test2 at MM Partners logged in from Morocco. They also logged in from Guatemala. Seeing one account logging in from multiple locations is really indicative of a compromised account, like I said, because they're sitting on these rolling VPNs. So it's going to look like they're going all over the world. In reality, they're in one spot sitting behind that VPN. So my logical next step with this is going to be figuring out exactly what happened with the account. If I click on the user, it's going to take me to that user details page in the accounts tab in ManagedMethods. And if I scroll to the bottom of the page, what I can see is the historic login for this user. So what I can see is normal logins coming from Boulder, where we're at, where I've been working with this account in the past. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to see kind of strange logins from new locations. So I see a login failure from Ecuador, a logout event in Guatemala, a login failure in Guatemala, and then I see a successful login coming from Guatemala, which is the one we saw on that map there. So right now, I'm going to get my red flags way up in the air. And my logical next step here as an admin is going to be to suspend this account or reset the account's password to make sure that damage is being controlled from this point moving forward. After I've done that, you can do that either in the ManagedMethods platform or in your Google admin, whichever you're more comfortable with. But after I've done that, I'll continue my investigation. So what I'm seeing is a lot of logins on July 15th. I'm seeing logins from Norway, more in Guatemala, Bolivia, Taiwan, Bolivia, and Morocco here. So this is really showing me that this is a bad actor that's trying to get in, sitting behind this VPN. And this is what you'll see in your environments too, is just a lot of different locations on the same account and a lot of successes and some failures in there as well, as kind of their programmatic logins fail a CAPTCHA and retry or fail phone verification. But since it's a program, it's just going to keep running and keep trying to get in. So you'll see these failures mixed in with successes. So now that I know that this account was successfully logged into, and I'm kind of seeing all the traits of what a programmatic attack would look like on an account, I would like to know what happened inside of this account. What did they get access to and what did they do? So if we look at our sheet here, once they get access to the account, they're going to start sending phishing emails likely as that user. So if I hop over to the Gmail tab and I go to live email search, what I can do is look and see all of the emails that have been sent by this account. So I'm going to look at test2, and I'm going to look inside of their sent folder. And I'm just going to set this back for a couple days for the date. And then I'll do a search. And what this is going to show me is all the emails that test2 had been sending. So what I see is they've sent one email called updated payroll, and that went out to 4 recipients. In this case, this domain only has 4 users on it, it's likely you'll see this going to lots and lots of users, or you'll see lots and lots of emails with similar names going to individual users. If I preview the email inside of this live email section, what I can see is this email that they sent out that says, please be sure to update your payroll info here, with a link to a maliciouslink.com. That's going to be how they are compromising other accounts. Other users in your environment are going to trust this more because it's coming from someone they know. So this would be a really good example of what you will see in your environment. So what you can do then is do a live file search again, and you would search your whole environment. And what you could do is look for the sender as being test2. And the subject being, well, let's just see. Oops, excuse me. Let's just take a look at all of the emails that got sent by test2 to everyone else. So I'll look for the sender as being the compromised account. Go back a couple days just to be safe. We'll search the whole environment. Here we can see this updated payroll email went to these 4 users and is still active inside of their inbox. So what I'm able to do here is select all of these emails and just delete them straight from the accounts that they've affected. So that is a great second step, getting rid of the phishing emails so more accounts don't get compromised. The other thing I'm going to want to look at is what they were doing inside of this Google account while they were in it. So if I go back to the Accounts tab and I take a look at test2 in this user details page, what I can do is go to this report button in the top right, download an activity audit, set it back to when the compromise occurred. And what I want to look at is drive activity that occurred inside of that account. So I'll just click download and it's going to download a CSV for me. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at these IP addresses that they were logging in from. And I'm taking this successful login IP because we know that that's when they were actually in the account and successfully gotten in. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to look at that drive activity that I found. And once I'm inside of here, I just do a Control F and I look for the IP address that they had logged in from. And what I get is in column F, it shows me the IP address that was taking actions inside of this account's Google Drive. So all of these highlighted ones happened during the attack. Column D is going to be an event description. So we can see that this account went through and was looking at a lot of different items inside of that user's Google Drive. This is really common with a compromised account. And you'll see that these are happening very quickly. Almost every couple seconds, we can see 241.01, 241.04, 241.06. Programmatic account attacks almost always have very, very fast views. They have very, very fast actions inside of the account, faster than a normal user is going to be looking at an item. So I can see that they looked through all of the files inside of this user's account. I can also see the files names in the G column here. So I can see they looked at SR risk 5, SR risk 1, as well as some other files. I see that while this person was logged in, they also created a file. Then they edited a file and they renamed it. So we can see an untitled document was created and then it was renamed to important. If I keep going up, I can see that they changed the visibility to this document. What that means is they shared it. So we can see that they actually changed the link sharing from private, meaning it wasn't shared via a link, to anyone within the domain has access to this. So they shared the file to everyone inside of the domain. We can also see that they downloaded an item. So I want to know what this item is. What is this important item that they created and why are they sharing it with people? So if I jump back into the Managed Methods platform, I can go to the Drive Files tab. I can put a filter in place and look for files created by test2. And I can see this important document that they created. If I download this file, I can see what's inside of it, but I can also see that they've created it with a link share and they've shared it with 5 people inside of the environment. So what I will do is download the file and see exactly what they were doing with it here. So they shared this file, and inside of it, they put another phishing link. This time it's don't click this link. It's going to be a random link every time you guys see it in your environment, but you're going to see a link inside of a document. When they shared this file, they shared it through Google. So Google is going to be sending emails to everyone who was shared with, saying a document was shared with you. So we have a second form of compromise inside of this account, or a second phishing attempt outside of the email phishing attempt. So we get this document shared with you that is important. So one thing we can do inside of the platform is go through and delete these emails that went out to everyone so they don't even know that the file was shared with them. Now we can stop the attack from there. The other thing we can do is go into the drive file, take the important document that they created, and delete it as well. So now we've got the account that originally compromised everyone. And we verified that it was compromised. We verified that they were sending phishing emails, and we verified that they had also created a file with another phishing link inside of it. And to remedy this, we reset the password or suspended the user. We went through and saw which emails they sent, deleted those from any users that they affected. We went and found the file that they created, saw who they shared it with, deleted the emails that Google sent on those shares, as well as went through and deleted the file itself so no one has access to it. So all of this kind of comes together to help you get a much more comprehensive view and much more comprehensive actions to stop these attacks. The next steps from my end as an admin would be looking at the accounts that received these emails, reaching out to those users and asking them if they'd clicked them or opened that file and clicked the link inside of the file. But I'd be watching those accounts that were also touched by this single compromised account very closely on the summary tab, waiting for logins on your map here. You can also look for accounts logging in the login analyzer if you prefer kind of more data-driven information here. And all I would do inside of this login analyzer is look for event types that were like login success and suspicious successful logins as well, with unapproved being the login type, meaning outside of your approved countries. Once we apply those, we can see the same logins taking place inside of the environment there. So all of that being said, I'd like to open it up for questions here and cover anything that might be confusing for you guys or answer any questions to go a little bit deeper into this. So I'll stop sharing just for a second so I can watch the chat here. Unsuccessful attempts. No, a single unsuccessful attempt or even multiple unsuccessful attempts in themselves wouldn't be concerning to me. People are always trying to get into accounts, and Google does a pretty good job of keeping people out. So when you see an unsuccessful attempt, that means that the kind of precautions you have in place, whether they're 2FA or strong passwords, are working. It's when you're seeing unsuccessful attempts followed by successful attempts, or even just straight successful attempts, that it's concerning.